I like to go through and really take my time figuring out how loud every fill, and this takes hours, by the way, how loud every single fill is going to be, and if there needs to be little, you can see like where am I going? There's like a little ramp here in this middle of this tom fill. So if I solo, actually no, I would just play the kit because it wouldn't really make sense without the rest of the kit. I have no idea what part of this, that's a verse apparently, but it just makes sense for me to do that. And not every single drum fill needed it, but some of them just need a little bit of levitation, and so that's what I did. That's what I do on everything as well. Same goes for like little cymbals like the splash cymbal, which John loves. I don't really know that many people who use a splash cymbal, but he does, and for that reason he'll use it like a few times this song. So maybe 5 times it looks like he's used it this song. And that's enough to warrant me going through and just chopping out that splash and making it not intrusive when it's not playing. It's not, it's a tiny part, but it makes a difference, I think, in the scheme of it. So what I was going to get onto is that let's make this a bit smaller. Yeah. So these here, the green things pretty much all the way down. I think in this project I looked earlier, there's these snap delay and a hold delay, which I'll get onto maybe, and a verse and a vox verb as well. Other than that, they all go through buses before they come to the final kind of print, the final mix bus, and then they'll get printed actually. But here the drums are so all of these drums, all the yellow, is being fed via here into this drums, where it says drums. What's on here? There is that's doing absolutely fuck all. That does not need to be there at all. It's doing something imperceptible. I almost feel like I didn't do that. Someone else has done that. Callum's done that to fuck with me. I can bet you. Going into our comp, which is a really nice compressor, which sounds amazing on drums, kind of smashy and a bit crashy. So that drums then gets sent down to Drum Crush, and what we've got here, a decapitator, which just fucks with all the sounds in the world. It's like a really big distortion plugin. I think actually what I'm doing is I'm feeding only a little bit of this one into this. This is a drum crush, so the drums don't get fed directly into this, just a little bit of them get fed through, which I think makes a big difference. But the same the same applies to all of my stuff. I like to have, it's changed since then. I have buses on my desk that say all guitar, and they're permanently there regardless of a song. All guitar, all drums, all vox, all synth, all FX, all strings. I do a lot of strings, all strings 2, all strings 3, because I do a lot of strings. But they're all there, and at the end they all meet again and fall in love once again. But you can see here on the bass, the same thing is happening. All these 3 bass are feeding this one bass here. Actually, that one isn't, but these 2 are. That's a sub bass. So on this record, I haven't done this since then, I don't think. On this record, I had sub bass playing in the heavier parts. I opted to not do that in later records because I found that the bass end just sounded a bit uncontrolled doing that. And you can hear this is what the sub bass sounds like. It's I don't know if you can hear that, but my sub is telling me it's there. I can feel it in my loins. But that's a fake bass guitar that is just, I mean, it's really not even that loud at all in comparison to the bass guitar, which is a proper instrument, which sounds like. Now with bass guitar, I was a bassist first. I love bass guitar. I love how it sounds, and I spent a lot of time experimenting with bass. I found, and I still use this technique, that I like to split one bass guitar into 2 tracks. So I'll treat the high end, the more kind of percussive or more present end, like EQ wise, the present end, the treble end, very differently to the low end, because they're 2 completely different beasts. And you'll see here I have bass guitar high and bass guitar low. And is there a good way to actually show you this? Here maybe. So what you can see is that on the bass high, I'm taking out 12 dB of or 0.2K, so 200 hertz, and then taking out 15 dB of 50. So it leaves me with this sound here. A really small sound with no low end, because I want to be able to tame the low end independently from that kind of more pronounced tappy sound, that percussive sound. So the low end is the opposite. If I can close some of these, the low end is exactly the opposite. If I open up this channel, it will be cutting the highs. Here you can see here it's cutting the highs, and there's a filter up here as well working, so you can hear it like this. That could be even more, to be honest. So there must have been an issue with that, because that could be, and normally is, way more just low end centric. So these are some of the kind of plugins I use on a bass. And this one has become just my go-to plugin. It's called Bass Rider. There's a plugin called Vocal Rider, which I think is exactly the same. Like, I've used both for years now, and I think they're fucking amazing. So what Vocal Rider, or Bass Rider in this sense, does... Bass Rider, what the fuck does that mean? But what Bass Rider does, if you look at this fader here, it's literally going to be... Actually, that's really quiet bit, so it's not going to be doing much. But it's going to be changing the volume of my bass. Okay, these are all parts. If I move it towards this, it will show you actually what it's doing. It didn't need it in those parts, but you can see it's automatically fading that bass. So I guess it's a similar thing to... It's a similar effect to compression, but you're not compressing the source. You're not fucking with the sound of it. All you're doing is raising and lowering the volume. And it's such an amazing idea. Like, I know there are a few people doing it now. The Unsmart does it as well. The kind of very similar effect with no compression, but I love it. Like, I think it's fucking amazing. And it's quite a cheap plugin as well, I think. I think it's invaluable. CLA 3A or just any of the LA 3As are amazing. Especially on bass, I think it's a really cool. In fact, I think I even used the bass, and it's gone, the bass preset, and just fuck with it a little bit because it's so amazing. Now, these are something I haven't used since doing this record. These are like, Chris Lord Alge is a mixing engineer, amazing. Chris is amazing. He did like, not that these are my favorite bands, but he did Green Day, he did a Paramore record, All American Rejects record. I mean, hundreds of, not hundreds, thousands, but thousands of records probably. And he's an amazing engineer. He's an inspiration. And he did this series of plugins, and this one's called Bass, for bass guitar, unbelievably. It has these stupid fucking names for what it's doing, but I really don't use this anymore. I mean, I went through a phase, I think, on this record of using this on all the bass stuff. Maybe a little bit on... a little bit on drums. Here we go. There's the drum version of it as well. You can see there with the wooden effect. Someone is howling at me, but I'm going to ignore that. I can hear someone saying Ben. I don't know where it's coming from because it's quite quiet, so I'm assuming a pair of headphones. Someone's listening to all of this apparently. So that gives you an idea of what I'm doing with bass. And again, that's running through this, which is a Shep 73. This is the 1073 replica that Andrew Shep's made, who we've worked with. Andrew Shep's, who makes portraits. This is his little beauty. He's actually come out recently with a new one that Wave sent me the other day called Shep's Parallel Particles, which looks very different. It looks like an EDM trip. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that, but we don't need that right now. So, in fact, I need to get rid of you because you must not be. So that's bass. Heavy guitars, I have nothing on my heavy guitars. So when I'm tracking either with my Diesel amp, my Mesa Boogie, triple or dual rectifier, sometimes with the Mesa solo head as well. Recently I've been getting into the Mesa transatlantic stuff, and my Marshall Mode 4 as well. So I track with a load of big heavy guitar amps, most often with greenback speakers or vintage 30s, but So they're coming in hyper compressed because heavy guitars are really, that's what heavy guitar is compressed to fuck with distortion. I'll just run it through my EQs on the way in, no compression, doesn't need compression, and then they come in and they sound ridiculous. They always sound, my heavy guitar tone is something I'm quite proud of because I don't know really what the fuck I'm doing, but it always sounds all right in the box. Like it always sounds like it's how it should be, and this is an idea. What you'll notice, instead of compression here, I've got a lot of individual automation volume rides. And again, like toms, like drums, I'm really big on automation. There are a load of lanes of automation here you can't see, probably 100, 200 of them that you can't see because I've opted just to show volume. I'm really into automation. I think it makes mixes, and automation is just a way of controlling certain parameters of each of these tracks so they change at certain points. And I automate heavy guitars a lot just to give them a bit of dynamics because they're so compressed. The heavy guitar is so compressed anyway. It needs dynamics. It needs dynamic range, or not dynamic range, but it needs to feel dynamic. It needs to feel like it's reacting to the drums and stuff. So you'll see here. Now those little drops in volume may not make sense to you right now, considering you're listening to it on a fucking microphone. But in the grand scheme of things, if I take these out of solo and show you in the grand scheme, they might make more sense. They're kind of little spikes to keep you interested because heavy guitars get really boring to listen to really quickly, but these little spikes keep you interested. In fact, I do the same thing with drums. So I do the same for the kick, actually. If you look up here, there are loads of little spikes here that you'll see. I do the same for the overheads, everything you can see down here, but kick's really important. At the beginning of any important phrase or at the beginning of some bars, I'll just amp up the first kick. You can see if I zoom in a little bit, you can see I can't reach my keyboard very well, so I can't do the shortcuts. You can see it just amping up a little bit. Like sounds a bit imperceptible, but just the main kicks of each phrase, they get slightly pushed because by the time they're hitting the drum compressors, the drum crush, and then eventually these mix compressors, they're going to get squashed to shit. So I like the idea of them trying to break through a little bit. By the time they're back, we're running out of time. We need to go through this. So up to heavy guitars, you can see all these little intrinsic rides I do. I love to do that stuff. And again, this takes days. I mean, days and days to do some of this stuff. What have we got down here? We've got a guitar intro. I don't know what that is. So it's just the main riff of the heavy guitar with an equalizer on it which is doing fuck all basically, really. So I must have pre-processed that with the EQ here to make it sound a little bit more telephony on the way in, which is interesting because I would have done that afterwards, but I didn't. Then clean guitar here, which sounds like this. I've never even seen that plugin before. Center, know what that's doing. But so I got a little bit of tremolo on there. Tremolo modulation effects on guitar, a lot of them I'll do afterwards in Pro Tools because I can make sure that they're tempo synced so they're all perfectly in time. Whereas if I'm using some analog pedals, most of the time they're out of fucking time with whatever's going on. I like them to feel a bit more rhythmic, so it's just very simple eighth note it's not even grooving, is it? No, it's not even grooving. Tremolo going on there, going into, what was this? A delay. This delay sounds like this. This delay is not even on. This delay must spike at one point. Can we see that anywhere? Yes, this delay spikes here. You'll see this mix knob suddenly come up here. That's what it sounds like amplified. So it's just a quarter note delay, kind of doing something counterintuitive to that tremolo, which is quite nice. Center, no idea what the fuck that is. A bit of punch going on, sides are lifted. It's a stereo something. So let's get rid of that.